Next speaker is the amazing Sophie Slater, who's the founder of the wonderful feminist fashion label Birdsong, an ethical online marketplace creating fashion that's fairer for women. Working on the promise of no sweatshop, no Photoshop, Birdsong connects the worker and the wearer, selling fashion made by women's groups with rare skills, from seamstresses to knitting grannies. Everything about Birdsong is done from a feminist perspective, from championing women's workers and charitable organisations to using feminist photographers and diverse models and never altering their appearance. So Sophie's going to talk tonight about creating fashion from a feminist and holistic perspective. So Sophie.
Sorry. Thank you. I'm really excited to be here, and this is the first time I've had a Brittany mic, so I'm really excited for that too, so thanks. My name's Sophie, and I'm a co-founder of Birdsong.London, and we're an online fashion brand with a promise of no sweatshops and no Photoshop. And all our clothes are made by women's groups with rare skills, so we pair their expertise with our designs, creating wearable pieces with the mind to the future. From migrant seamstresses to knitting grannies, we connect women from worker to wearer. With our unedited imagery and activist models, we show the reality of women, making more of us visible. And for Black Friday, we did something a little bit unconventional. Instead of slashing our prices, we released our manifesto instead. And most of our ideas come under three kind of broad streams about doing fashion differently. Sorry, that way, is that better? That's much better, isn't it? Thank you. Sorry, shall I start again? Right. Just let me know if I'm like breathing heavily into it or making some unpleasant noises. So basically we came to the fashion industry pretty much as total outsiders. Like, I worked in women's organisations, which is a pretty unconventional route. Had a little bit of a brief flirtation with the fashion industry before that, which I'll go into. But we kind of wanted to rebuild fashion as we saw it, with the kind of three broad aims of empowering and creating revenue for women's groups locally, a lot of whom have these amazing crafting skills, especially as older and migrant women. Creating a blueprint for a better fashion industry for women all sides, whether that's consumers or as Ursula said, 90% of women who make the clothes as well. And also making sustainability the new normal. So we don't use the word ethical really anywhere on our website, because it's like we're a social enterprise, but we'd just get called a business. Like, it should just be the new normal really, doing things well. We kind of make up our own rules. And our business model is predicated on making fashion fairer. So from the 90% of garment workers who are young women to the fact that 90% of UK women are dissatisfied with their bodies in some way, everything we do is from a feminist perspective, and often from the grassroots, from the ground up. So whether that's kind of using women and non-binary photographers and models to eradicate male gaze, to championing women workers and charitable organisations by ethically sourcing our manufacturing from them. We also use sustainable and recycled fabrics, and we've got a partnership with Trade, which is amazing. So we use a lot of factory offcuts. In fact, our new spring collection is 80% reclaimed, I think. And to counteract fashion being the second most polluting industry after oil, we use mostly reclaimed or organic cotton or bamboo as well. So from refugee seamstresses to octogenarian knitters and jewellery made by survivors of human trafficking, we source and manufacture from around 16 different women's organisations around the world, and 8 of which are based in London, mostly in Tower Hamlets. Between the two of us, my business partner and I had worked in homeless shelters, schools, youth groups, old people's day centres, and we saw massive effects of funding cuts under austerity. So we knew that 92% of women's organisations in London had had a funding crisis between 2010 and 2013-14 when we started. This is Edna. They're not your typical factories where we get our stuff produced. We're Edna and Mary, who are part of the knitting group that Sarah found. We're their first commercial clients. When we met, Sarah had been working at the Bradbury Day Centre for over 60s, where this amazing group of women had been churning out scarves like there's no tomorrow. they'd been knitting for 15 years and they couldn't get enough of it. The wool is really nice to work with. There's meditative qualities. It's proven to fight against dementia and arthritis, the act of knitting, and they found it really gave them a sense of purpose. So they would knit and then give it to a bring and buy sale, or stand on a little stall in the cold for hours kind of selling it, or just give it to a charity shop just because it made them feel good. So we decided as an experiment that we were going to source wool for the women and have a go at selling it. So we set up a little website as an experiment. At first the sort of scarves were a bit rogue. You had like one this big, one that big. Just put frills on everything, which is cool now, but wasn't really in like 3.5 years ago when we started. But people seem to really like it, and we've generated enough income for that group now. They donate all their money back to the centre, that they've redone their therapy room, their kitchen, their summer house. They've got a new carpet, loads of tea and cake. They've bought cakes for every person in the centre by now, I think. But yeah, they really love working with us. And another one of our groups is called Mahila. So they're a group of migrant painting dinner ladies based in a school in Bow. And they do their orders in between canteen shifts and picking their kids up from the local school in which they work. And they were hand painting cards, again, kind of trudging around community fairs, trying to sell a card that had taken 2 hours to paint for like £2.50, not making any profit really in the process. So we paired together with London Fashion Week designer Cleo Pepiat, who's an amazing friend, and she taught them some trend research using Pinterest, which, if English is your second language, is really cool and easy to use. And we came up with our amazing boob emoji t-shirts, which you'll see a picture of later, which they found hilarious. But they get paid a London living wage per hour for making them, and now they're rolling it in. So, and Heba are our first suppliers that we ever worked with. We kind of built Birdsong around them. They were founded 27 years ago now by a group of Bangladeshi women, and the space was informally a safe space for women who are experiencing domestic violence or isolation, perhaps didn't know English, and were looking for a safe space within their community. They had a creche, IT lessons, English classes. It was like this really amazing little production unit utopia where women could really hone their craft and skill and get formal qualifications for it. Unfortunately, a couple of years ago, and this is really typical of a lot of the groups we work with, their landlord died, and the kids inherited the building, tripled the rent overnight, and gave them 10 days to move out the creche. So now they're working in a lot of a smaller room, but we've done a couple of fundraisers. We still have most of our production, all our shirts and trousers are manufactured through them. And they're really talented seamstresses, really fantastic. So yeah, it's kind of typical of a lot of women's groups. They're kind of getting pushed out of their premises in London. But a lot of the women they work with and support are so part of the community that they can't really relocate somewhere else, or we're kind of looking into it. So yeah, these are our groups, and they sign our tags to say who made the item. This is Roxana and the boob emoji tees. We put their stories on social media. We let their customers, our customers, know where their money's going at every opportunity, and we try and communicate at every level. So last International Women's Day, we did a special edition T-shirt that was painted with Roxana and Sharina, the school. And Refinery 29 came and filmed it, and customers could live, like Facebook Live, what colours they wanted, and like ask questions to the makers while they were making their T-shirt, which was really cool. We've got a new International Women's Day T-shirt on sale at the minute that's going to be embroidered, and we're going to live stream the embroidery happening. So I think like this is a really exciting space that you don't really get to see, and it's not like it's super hard to do for us because like they're in East London, we can hop over. So yeah, it's a really cool opportunity, and the women love seeing the orders roll in as well, which is great. And we've made about £65,000 for women's organisations in total over the past few years, which has been used to fund employment, IT classes, counselling, new furniture, volunteer expenses. And 100% of the makers we work with say they're proud of the work that they do with us. And 83% say their quality of life is directly improved by working with Birdsong. So these women hold a really amazing wealth of highly sought after skills, from hand painting, traditional embroidery, pattern cutting and hand knitting. And they manufacture our collections to really high standards as well, which is amazing. And So yeah, but the clothes are also beautiful. just to reiterate. So please do look online. And we built Birdsong kind of based on the insights of a struggling women's charity industry, but also some of my own interactions with fashion. So my first interaction with fashion was being scouted as a model when I was 15 for sort of agency in London, and being from a small seaside town up north, it was like the most glam thing in the world. And I was just like, please like me. And they looked at me, and I was kind of really weird looking and skinny and lanky. And they looked at my huge feet and were like, she's going to grow really tall and then we can make some money out of her. But the joke was on them because I never grew any taller. Just got big feet. So I was told at 15 years old, this tiny, tiny childlike body was perfect, and I just needed to keep that way until I was 25. Then my career would be over because I'd be too old. And yeah, it was kind of messed up, like kind of seeing models get told to hit the gym, or like, should you really have that extra sandwich, or kind of being measured constantly. Really like affected a lot of the women around me that I saw, and I saw a lot of girls who'd been scouted at the same time getting eating disorders. And as oppressive as it was for me as an individual to be held as those standards, at least I'm a slim, able-bodied white cis woman. I get to see women who look vaguely like me represented in the media every day. Most women in London see 3,500 adverts a day, and 85% of them will look nothing like the population of London. I think it's probably got a lot better, like the fashion industry's definitely taken diversity on board. And yeah, 80% of models in advertising are white, which has improved kind of 5% on last year, and it's probably improved again this year. But also the average dress size for an agency model is a UK 6, despite the average UK woman being a size 14. So doing things like sampling and fitting in a size 12 or 14 is really important for us as well. 1 minute, okay. Yeah, sorry, I'm really going on. So basically, yeah, we when we started, I used to work at American Apparel as well, which you might remember this kind of thing went on. So, yeah, I was like, why do we have to have ethical in one way but put up with this also? Yeah, so kind of started around with feminist ideals and ethical ideals from like all perspectives. And yeah, we don't use like femvertising is like a massive thing now. Like all brands are kind of using feminism, but 4 years ago when we started, people still didn't know how feminism and fashion were at all related. Now people are kind of getting it. And yeah, we try and use models who are activists who represent the brand more than kind of agency models who might not necessarily want to be there or not necessarily get what we're about. And people who feel underrepresented as well. So this is my friend Charlie. She's an amazing activist. She's gone on to like publish a book, win the Observer New Radicals list, be on the Rainbow list. Like she's a Stonewall ambassador. And she was really uneasy about having a photo taken until we did a shoot. And this is the kind of person that we love working with. So whether it's like a friend who had an eating disorder, who says our pictures make her feel beautiful again, or Edna, who knits our knitwear, getting in front of the camera. Yeah, we really want to like highlight people who don't feel included in the industry as well. And because I've only got minus 30 seconds left, yeah, let me finish on the fact that International Women's Day started off as a garment protest, and I think it's really important to see the link between feminism, fashion, garment workers, women's rights, and that's what we're trying to do with Birdsong. So thank you.